Everybody, thank you for joining. This is the Washington, D.C. Power Platform User Group. Thank you so much for joining. Our special presenter tonight is Dian Taylor. Dian is a MVP, I think 5 times, 6 times,
5 times. It's
five
crazy, right?
times, whole heap of times. And she's here to share with us her all the latest info about the 2025 Release 1 for Dynamics 365 Sales, Customer Service, and Contact Center. Dan, thank you so much for sharing your time and your expertise, and please take it away.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me as well. I really appreciate it. So, yeah, let's just dive right in. Like we heard earlier, I'm going to be talking about sales, customer service, and contact center, and that's like an hour of content. So, but before I do that, let me introduce myself real quick. So, my name is Dian Taylor. It's not Diane. I usually tell people everybody gets to call me Diane one time before I slap them in the face. Jamie knows this. Not that he's ever called me that, but he's seen me people slap in the face. No, I'm kidding. He's been in my sessions before, so he knows the spiel, right, Jamie? So I'm a director of pre-sales here at RSM, which basically means that I get to work with the latest and greatest of right what is available in those applications, and then build out demonstrations for prospects and customers that we have, and kind of be part of the sales process. I have been working with Dynamics 365 since version 4.0, and I can't believe how fast time is going. Anyways, but I'm also a LinkedIn learning instructor. I have, I think, 3 courses out there, if I'm not mistaken. And like Aidan was saying, I'm a 5-time Microsoft MVP as well. Hopefully 6-time. We have to wait, right? Through the renewal cycle. And I also, you can see that in the right corner that I have my blog posted here as well. So feel free to take a look at that as well. I try to write articles. I used to do it every week. I'm now kind of like 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. And I also post videos at the same time on my YouTube channel as well. So you can also kind of just, instead of just reading what I'm talking about, also see that video as well. So enough about me. Let's go ahead and dive right in with Dynamics 365 Sales. And if you have read the release notes, then you probably noticed that many of the new features, actually all of the new features at the time that I looked at it, really focus on lead management, and specifically they revolve around this new sales qualification agent. If you actually go back now, there are some other things, because I obviously did that preparing for this meeting or this presentation. There's a lot of stuff in there that is, again, more things that are going to be added on to the sales qualifications agent. And if that name sounds familiar to you, well, that is because the 2024 release wave 2, those notes already introduced this agent, which means that this feature has been carried over from the previous wave now to 2025 release wave 1. So let's talk about what does this agent do and where does it live, right? So the sales qualification agent is a custom autonomous agent that's going to be embedded within Dynamics 365 Sales. And its primary role is to automate and optimize that whole sales qualification process, right? Hence the name. And then also help sellers build that high quality pipeline. So it's going to do that by enriching and prioritizing leads, and also assisting sellers with creating these personalized email communications. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that it's going to do as well. So kind of like when a seller logs in and he sees their leads, it's going to provide them with a lot of information. So what you're going to see, and you kind of see that on this slide here, right? This is coming from Microsoft's video, obviously, that they did on the sales qualification agent. So you can see here, there's a lot of information that I can see on here, right? So different things like key leads for me to focus on, their percentage of my total sales goal, right? You can see that here, 68%. All of that is visible here. I can also see the forecasting details, right? The different forecasting buckets. You can see that over here, and all of the estimated revenues related to that, right? I see qualified 55K, best case. So a lot of data in here showing me all this stuff. Now, again, right, this was Microsoft's video, so we don't know what the end product is going to look like, but this is kind of what they were telling us. So now, let's take a step back here. So as I mentioned earlier, so this sales qualification agent was introduced to us in 2024 release wave 2. And in those release notes, the sales qualification agent was described as a combination of 3 different agents. So rather than seeing 3 different agents, I really believe that all of these functionalities that they described in those 3 different agents will just be integrated into the skill set of that sales qualification agent, right? So you're not going to have all the 3 different agents that they were talking about, one for research, one for this, one for that, right? That's just going to be one sales qualification agent, but it's going to have these different skills. So keep that in mind as well. Now, when I'm talking about those different ones, right, I kind of mentioned it already. This is one of them, right? So let's talk about building a solid pipeline, like I just mentioned. That's not just about getting a whole ton of leads, right? It's actually about chasing the right ones, knowing to go after the right leads. So again, we want to make sure that the ones that we go after actually have a shot, or we have a shot at turning that into a deal, right? So that's where this research skill comes in, or research agent, whatever we want to call it, right? So basically this thing digs up all details on your leads in Dynamics 365, and it also pulls information from other places, obviously, right? So it's going to update the leads in Dynamics 365, or basically show you a page as you can see here on the screen. And it's going to grab that information from websites, industry reports, and third-party resources. I actually have a private preview of this, so I also saw some LinkedIn information in there as well, right? So a lot of different places to really build that full profile on your leads. So this is going to be, you know, finances, strategic goals, potential challenges for that lead, recent news, etc., right? So what's the whole point? Well, we want to give our sellers a full 360 degree, 360 degree view of who they're dealing with, right? Who that lead is, so our sellers can approach them with confidence. And let's be real, right? This saves sellers a lot of time. When I'm talking to our sellers, they're doing a lot of Googling and then, you know, manual data entry, or I should say binging probably, right? Since we're on a Microsoft call. So no more Googling, no more binging, right? Instead, they can actually now focus on selling. And the research skill even takes care of email validation and makes sure that leads have opted in for emails and calls, etc., so that they're not going to waste time on bad contacts. Oh, and there's another cool part. It might even tell sellers who they should be reaching out to in a company if there is enough data to do so. And even better, it checks if somebody at your company already knows them. So I'm sure you guys have seen the Who Knows Whom feature, right? That basically tells you who inside of your company knows somebody related to this lead. So it sounds like that's the type of functionality that we're going to get with this. And let's be honest, right? A warm introduction is always going to beat a cold one. And that's why I think that's going to be a very big deal for us with the research agent. Okay, so now let's talk about the next skill here, prioritization, because not all leads, again, are worth your time, right? So this particular skill or agent, whatever we want to call it, helps sellers figure out who they should actually focus on. So my guess is, because again, I do have this, like I said, in a private preview, but it's very, very limited. So not all of this stuff is in there yet. So I have to do a little bit of guessing. And my guessing here is that once the research has been done, right, then the prioritization agent steps in to, I don't know, maybe it's going to rank the leads based on sales potential. I'm not sure. But what it does is most likely it's going to look at all the data. This was in Microsoft's documentation. It's going to check for things like bands. So that's budget, authority, what was it, needs and timeline, right? That's bands. I was like, what is that again? So basically what it's doing is it's sorting out the leads that are most likely to close. Some reasons a lead might get marked as high priority. Maybe they're a decision maker, right? Maybe they have been checking out your company's website, or maybe they're already a customer and they had a customer service issue that makes them a good lead with high potential to buy, because again, we've already servicing these guys, right? So this is low hanging fruit. So another cool thing, the sales qualification agent can actually recognize intent from emails. And this is, I think, also where the autonomous agent functionality that I'm sure you guys heard about is coming in. And even better, it can disqualify leads if your lead responds with something like, I'm not interested, or, anything like that, or if they don't get back to you at all, if they completely ghost you. So again, no more wasting time on dead ends. This is going to keep the focus on leads that will actually matter to your sellers. All right, so now let's talk about the engagement scale, right? This is the third piece of that sales qualification agent puzzle. And this one is all about that lead communication. So it can actually write personalized emails using the data that was collected by the research skill. And as the lead moves through the sales process, right, it can do that engagement. But here's the cool part. The seller can let the agent dynamically respond to leads after that first message goes out, meaning the agent doesn't just fire off one email and calls it a day. It actually keeps the conversation going based on how the lead responds. Now, if this works the way that it's supposed to be working, then I think this is going to be a total game changer for sellers. I'm not sure if a lot of people are ready for this, right? Because again, this sounds like autonomous behavior, right? You can see here it says automated follow-ups. Copilot will dynamically respond to emails, including out of office and product questions. So it sounds really cool. I would really like to get my hands on this to kind of see how this works. But yeah, let's see what it can do, right? We'll still have to wait for that for a little bit. So another very slick feature is the ones that I just pointed out to you, that out of office, right? So it can detect when somebody sends that out of office reply. So we're not going to have people sending follow-ups to somebody who's on vacation, right? It's actually going to pause the outreach until they're back. So that's super smart. I don't know how they're going to do that. Maybe by if somebody has in there, I'm going to be back on this particular date, maybe that's how they're going to keep track of that. But sounds really cool. Again, I would really like to get my hands on that so I can kind of see if that is indeed the case, if it works that way. Also, as you can see in the image, right, you can see that there's outreach steps that are listed here on the left side. So my guess, again, they could be part of an automated sequence. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Oh, and one more huge time saver here. This agent can also help schedule meetings with the seller automatically. So what it does is it will check the seller's calendar in real time and then suggest those available time slots. So we've seen that before, right? If you worked with things like Copilot for Sales, then you know that it's capable of doing things like that as well. So I think that's going to be pretty cool. But again, we're going to have to wait before we can actually get our hands on that. And also think about how every sales organization does things a little differently, right? Usually there's not one sales organization that's the same. So that's why the sales qualification agent has some configuration options, allowing it to adapt to the company's way of doing business, because that's what we want. So admins can customize it by plugging in key details about the business itself. So think about URLs of the company, right? Websites, description of products and services they sell, and even the ideal customer profile they want to sell to. So if you want to target specific industries or company size, job titles, maybe you just want to go over C-level type of folks, right? Or particular locations. Hey, we're only doing business in these particular locations. You can kind of see that over here as well, where your target customers located. right? That's not going to be a problem. You can set all of that up, and then the agent is going to use those settings to decide which leads deserve attention. Plus, all of this data can be mapped to columns in Dynamics 365 Sales, making it a lot easier to track and to find. And what I mean by that is, so for example, let's say we're going to edit the configuration for the sales qualification agent. And I'm going to say the job titles that our customers hold are usually C-level type of titles, right? So what this means is that you're actually pointing this to the job title field in the lead table. So that's what this does. Now the cool thing about this is that if you might have another field that you want to use for job title or something else, right? You can see here that there's other as well. You can also use those custom fields for that as well. So, and then what the sales qualification agent is going to do is it's going to look at those leads inside of Dynamics 365 Sales and the columns and compare them to what you're actually after, right? So that's how it's going to do that. So let's just go ahead and go to the next sections here. I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but apparently we don't have enough sales agents yet. So by early March of this year, Microsoft actually dropped 3 additional AI-powered agents for Microsoft 365 Copilot and Dynamics 365 Sales. And by the way, these are not the same as the sales qualification agents, because I actually asked. Because I was like, this sounds exactly the same as a sales qualification agent. Are you confused yet? I am, but this is not the same. So anyways, so they're called the sales chat agents, the sales research search agent, sounds familiar, right? And the sales agents. Again, these are not the same as the sales qualification agent I just discussed. These agents are all about, again, also making sales teams more efficient, more effective, right? But also by tapping into CRM data. So what and not just CRM data, obviously, also Microsoft Graph and other business data, right? So we can get that personalized, context-aware, those insights in there. Now, what my thought process is, you know what? I'm going to wait until the screenshot because maybe you'll figure it out by yourself. But the best part of this, obviously, is the fact that agents never sleep, right? They're always working, helping us grow our pipeline, fine-tune our outreach strategies, and close our deals faster. Now, these agents will be in public preview in April and May. I'm actually going to go through each and every one of those agents to kind of talk about what each of those what they're going to do, and also when the preview is for each agent. Now, I did want to say that these are going to be in paid public preview, which makes me think that these guys are going to consume Copilot messages, which means it's going to have some sort of autonomous behavior here, but we can get into that a little bit further. So let's go ahead and break them down and see exactly how they can help our sales folks, right? So let's start here with the sales chat agent. Now, this guy lives inside of Microsoft 365 Copilot chat, and the whole idea of this agent is to let sellers ask questions in natural language instead of having to dig through sales records manually, right? So, for example, instead of opening an account record in Dynamics 365 Sales and sorting through out of those all of the columns in the account, going through the associated emails and documents and notes and all that stuff, you could just ask, hey, what's the latest on this account? And boom, you get this full summary, right? So that's kind of what you're seeing over here. It's also a huge time saver for meeting preparations as well, because the agent can put together agendas, pull in relevant files, and even summarize recent conversations. So there's no more hunting through emails and calendars before a call. The agent can help you with that. Oh, and get this, it even offers coaching. So you can ask things like, hey, what content should I present in my next meeting with them? Or what are the risks of this deal? And it's going to break it all down for you. Now, where does it go to get all this data? Well, again, right, like I said earlier, it pulls emails, meetings, documents, right? It's using Microsoft 365 graphs, it's using web resources, it's using CRM data. Plus, it's also going to be available on mobile, which means that sellers can use it on a go as well. So when is this coming? This one is public preview, paid preview in May of 2025. Oh, this is what I wanted to point out earlier. Do you guys notice that this has the little logo for Copilot for Sales? Has anybody seen that? So that's my guess, that this is going to be part of Copilot for Sales because it has the same little logo here. I did not get confirmation from Microsoft. So if that is not correct, then that is on them for trying to trick us by adding this little icon for Copilot for Sales. But that's what I thought, right? We're going to have to wait and see for that. All right. Let's go to the next one, my sales research agents. This one, I think this one is crazy. This is a very huge one, right? Think of this one as your own business research tool almost, right? Built to give real-time insights into what's happening in your organization. Now, think about this. Most organizations, if you ask them, and maybe they won't even say that's the case, but we know this is the case, they waste so much time trying to hunt down data across different systems just to build a report that is accurate. Now, this agent fixes that by letting sales leaders ask questions in natural language. Stuff like, how can we optimize territory distribution and account assignments? I'm just calling out some things that, you can see this here on the screenshot, right? I just want to give you guys some ideas about that. So instead of manually having to pull that data from like 5 million different places, the agent can do the heavy lifting for you. And this might look familiar. If you guys are familiar with Project Sophia, it looks very much like that. I believe this is built on Project Sophia as well, because if you kind of look at both of them together, you will see right, the resemblance between both of them. Now, here's how it works. So first you ask a question. Then when the question is asked, the agent is going to build a research plan. It's going to analyze your enterprise data. And again, not just from Dynamics 365 sales, right? You can bring in data from your HR, from your finance, from your e-commerce, even an Excel spreadsheet. And then it spits out your answer in this clean dashboard format, right, with the written insights that you can see here on the right-hand side, and then the visual graphs up top or on the side there as well. So if you're worried about data security, no worries. It only accesses the data that the user has access to. Plus, you can actually see the reasoning of the agent so that you know exactly which data sources it pulled from and how it reached its conclusions. And if you need deeper insights, you can just keep asking follow-up questions and even connect extra data sources like, for example, Dynamics 365 customer service, or PDFs or other Dataverse instances, right? Now, one more thing, as you can see here in the screenshot, this is the only agent that actually lives inside of Dynamics 365 sales, right? So again, I don't see a logo here, so I don't know what this is going to be part of, if this is going to be part of the Dynamics 365 sales license or the premium license, or no clue. But this is also another paid public preview, and this is supposed to be happening anytime this month in April of 2025 that we can get our hands on that. So I cannot wait, but a lot of cool stuff happening. All right, and then lastly, let's talk about the sales agent. Now, this is one that is also fully autonomous, and this one is going to be accessible right from Microsoft Teams and Outlook. Hey, just like Copilot for Sales, right? Might this be also part of Copilot for Sales? I don't know, but that's what my guess is. So here's something big. It works with both Dynamics 365 and Salesforce CRM. Oh, just like Copilot for Sales and just like the sales research agents I was just talking about, right? So I'm really starting to think that both of these agents might be part of Copilot for Sales, like I said earlier, but I don't know. We're going to have to see if that's the case or not. Now, what does this actually do? Well, the sales agent acts as a person, as a seller, meaning it doesn't just research and prioritize and qualify leads, it actually engages with them. Now, we've seen Copilot generate email drafts before, but this really takes things to a whole other level, right? Why? Because this agent can send emails on your behalf and even have full email conversation with prospects. It can answer questions from prospects. It can follow up automatically if there's no response that has been received from the prospect. It can offer meeting times based on your Outlook availability. Sounds a lot like the sales qualification agent, right, that we talked about earlier. They're not the same. And it also can make sure that because of all of those different things, right, that no leads will actually fall through the cracks. And what I mean by that, let me give you an example. So imagine this, right? You have marketing forums on your website. A prospect goes to your website, fills out a marketing forum, and then a lead is automatically created in your CRM system. So normally it might take days or weeks, maybe even more, right? Maybe even months before somebody actually reaches out to that lead. And usually by then, the lead might have moved on. But with this agent, it's going to follow up immediately. So the lead is created, and then it's going to start, it can start like sending messages. It can start to send those personalized emails within several minutes, which could really be the difference between winning or losing that sale, right? And that's why I think that this is going to be a game changer for sales organizations. Again, I would really kind of like to get my hands on this so I can kind of see how that works, because my guess is that this is going to start with like simple scenarios, right? For example, you can see here somebody's asking about just a bunch of products, right, where it's like priced per each. I'm sure that if you want this sales agent to talk about a project when you're implementing a system, I don't think it's going to be able to do that from day one, but who knows, right? We never know. So as it's going through that lead life cycle, this agent will actually keep sellers in the loop as well, sending those real-time notifications inside of Microsoft Teams. And you can see here that you have you can see a notification that a lead has been assigned. You can also see it engaged with the lead as well. So it's going to show us those insights in the next step. And then meanwhile, sellers can focus on building relationships and closing deals instead of getting stuck in admin work. And look at this, again, this little logo. So I don't know. All right, so let's move on to the next piece of this. Oh, I didn't mention this yet. Customization. We want to customize this to make sure that we're actually using the correct brand guidelines and our tone. Well, this is showing you how to upload a Word document to adjust the agent's tone. And you can also see a preview of how it would then respond to a prospect's question. Now, again, I really think this is going to completely change the way that businesses are going to engage with the customers. And we're going to have to wait a little bit, not too long, but the paid public preview for this one currently, according to Microsoft's release notes, is May 2024. So lots of stuff coming to Dynamics 365 sales. I have one word for you, agents, right? That covers it. So let's now move on and talk about Dynamics 365 customer service and contact center as well. Guess what? Big surprise. What's the next word here in customer service and contact center? Let's say it all together. Yay! Agents, right? Now, I really have to say, I think there's some seriously exciting stuff coming our way for customer service and Dynamics 365 Contact Center as well. So I'm going to talk about the 3 new autonomous agents that are rolling out for customer service and contact center. Now, just a heads up, not all of these agents that I'm going to talk about will be available for both contact center and Dynamics customer service. So some are exclusive to either customer service or contact center, and some of them are going to be available for both, but I'm going to break that down for you in a second. So the names of these new agents are the case management agent, the customer intent agent, and the knowledge management agents. And I'm going to explain how all of these guys work and where in the process they will be used. So let's just go ahead and start with the case management agents. And again, the screenshots that you see here, they're all from Microsoft's documentation, the videos that they put out there, etc. So this guy is actually in preview today, but just a heads up, this one is only for folks that have Dynamics 365 customer service licenses, right? If you're using Dynamics 365 Contact Center as a standalone, you're not going to get this agent because that system doesn't have case management built in, right? Customers can use Salesforce, ServiceNow, or Dynamics 365 customer service as the underlying CRM system to support case management capabilities. But if you're not using Dynamics 365 customer service as a CRM, then this agent is not going to be available to you. So what does this agent actually do? Now there's going to be, according to Microsoft, there's going to be two different settings for this agent. The first one is to automatically generate cases. Cases can be automatically created during a chat conversation or by automatic record creation rules. So that means that if you have a mailbox set up so that if somebody actually sends an email message there, then that can automatically generate a case, right? You guys are aware of that. Well, this can be working for those types of cases as well. Now, for the chat conversation, when a chat is accepted by the customer service rep, the agent can then automatically pull in the details from the chat transcript to generate the case. And there's also the ability to have AI update cases that are created using the automatic record creation rules, like I just said, right? With the inbox, if an email is sent to the support email, to the email box, right? We can update those cases as well. So this really means that customer service reps don't have to spend as much time on manual data entry, right? They can really focus on solving the customer issue instead. So if you're on a chat and the agent will actually fill out the case for you, that's great, right? Because then you can kind of focus on the chat that you're having with that customer. Now, admins will have the ability to configure which columns they want the agent to populate automatically. And there's also case update rules that can be configured for those specific conditions. And I'm going to show you that a little bit later. So as the CSR works on the case, the agent can then suggest next actions. And let me just go ahead and, oh, I thought I clicked on my slideshow is stuck. Hello. Next action in the Copilot pane. Hello. There we go. That's my next action in the Copilot pane. And the second setting for this agent is to configure the autonomous case follow-up and resolution features for the agent. If this is enabled, the agent will actually create suggested follow-up actions, which the CSR can access in Copilot suggested actions pane, which you can see over here. Now, I got this working yesterday, so it looks a little bit different than what Microsoft said it was going to look like, but hopefully I'm going to have time to show you guys what it actually looks like, and I can't see why I won't be able to do that. Now, let's now talk about some of those follow-ups, right? The way that this works is while the customer service rep is working throughout the case lifecycle, the agent can then respond autonomously to the customer when there's a need. Now, again, there are some settings which I'm going to show you, but for example, if the customer has not responded to the email that was sent by the customer service rep within a predefined period of time, then the agent can create an email message to send to as a follow-up conversation, right, to that customer. And again, like I said earlier, we've seen Copilot draft emails before, but this really makes it more integrated into the workflow, right? Because it will just do that automatically. And then when the issue is resolved, whether the customer confirms it in an email or when they confirm it in a chat by saying, hey, this is fixed, it's done, whatever, right? That agent will recognize this, and it's then going to suggest to close the case. So that's what I think it's coming up right now. There you go. Oh, this is the follow-up. You guys probably already saw that, right? Because it's spinning and spinning and spinning. Yeah, here's my resolve case, right? And then you can see that it's already pre-filled with the details from the case and the related records, etc. And then if they need to tweak those inputs, they can obviously do that and then close out that case. Oh, and once the case is closed, that's actually when the knowledge management agent steps in, but I'm going to get to that in a bit. So I honestly think that the amount of time this agent is going to save the CSRs is going to be crazy, right? So let's now take a look. Let me show you, because I got it working yesterday. So I want to very quickly show you kind of what this looks like. So I first want to show you the settings. So I'm going to go here into, I believe it was under case settings. Here we go. Here's my case management agent. And what you can do here is really manage, right, the case creation and update with autonomous AI assistance skill, I almost want to say. So if you go in here, you're going to be able to say, okay, select the channels in which AI will update a case, right? So that's, like I said earlier, if there's an email that has been sent to your support email box and then it's automatically creating a record, then I will have AI look at that email and update that case automatically. And then this is for the chat, right? Now, this is allowing you to pick which field is this agent going to update. And as you can see, we cannot pick related tables. We can only pick the columns from the case, right? Because it's creating a case and it's updating a case. And then on top of that, we can use rules to include more fields for AI prediction based on specific conditions. So if I click on this, I can say, right, there's a particular condition, and this is allowing me to pull up information from related tables as well. So if your customer is an account and if something on that account, right, if you want to take a look at a particular column on that account, that's kind of how that works. I think. I haven't tried this yet, but that's kind of what I think this looks like. So what I want to do here real quick is I want to start a chat. So here is my little chat widget. And what I'm going to do is, let me grab my script so I actually know what the heck I'm trying to do here. I want to put an angel here and I want to start my chat support here. Let's see what it does. It should first go to, right, my bot here, and I'm not interested in a bot, so please let me talk to an agent. Right? Obviously, you don't have to have a bot, right? But this should now go into customer service workspace, Dynamics 365 customer service. So let's just give it a second here. Let's just hope it's not going to go into my other window I have open. No, it doesn't. Great. Chat request. I'm going to say accept. And then I'm going to have a quick conversation here with my customer so that we understand what the issue is. Let's just give it a second while this loads, not while this leads. I use the word leads too much. All right, so my customer is now telling me something. Hello. Yes, allow while visiting the site. Already did that. Hello, I placed an order with blah, 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 blah. Look at this, case created from conversation. Did you guys see that? That went really, really quick. But it basically created this case. It opened this in a second session and it created a couple of things here. So let's see if it actually updates it. I think it also updates it after this conversation is done. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give it a response and I'm going to say, I'm so sorry about this. I apologize for the inconvenience. You can send me an email with some pictures, yada, yada, yada. Give me this. We can definitely send you a new order. I will do that. Okay, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to close this. But you guys saw how quick that happened, right? It basically generated those fields. Let me see if it actually puts some additional stuff in here as well. Here's a description, inquiry regarding damaged item. Wow, right? So that's how quick that works. That's what it did. It also has a note in there as well. And look at that. This is really that conversation summary. So now it automatically attaches that conversation summary there. Pretty cool stuff, right? So that's kind of how that works. And let me just, oh my goodness, where is it? The other thing that I wanted to show here real quick is I want to go out. That guy, I want to jump in here. I'm going to go back here to my case settings, and then again, my case management agents. And this is the autonomous case follow-up and resolution. Again, we can take a look at some of the rules that we can set up. So you can see here, I actually created a rule here because I was testing this last night. So this, what you see here, is a condition. This really acts almost as a filter. We only want to do this for cases that have been modified in this particular case, right, in the last 30 days. And then what I'm doing is I'm saying if somebody changes the status from that case to researching, then I wanted to start tracking my follow-ups. So what happens is you can actually decide how many follow-ups you want. So the first follow-up is the email message that the rep sends to the customer. So after that first follow-up, after 24 hours, if there was no response, its Copilot is going to generate that message and send it to the clients, right? And then it goes after the second follow-up, third follow-up, etc. And you can obviously configure this, but I have it to 24 hours because I wanted to see if this actually worked. Or maybe it was the day before that I did this actually. So what happened here is I had this case here, and Teresa sent an email. Teresa got an email from Faith. There was a case that was generated. Teresa sent an email saying, oh, I'm so sorry this happened to you. And because there was no response back from Faith, it created this email message. And this is now what that suggested follow-up looks like, right? And then if I click here on preview, this is the email message that agent generated, and all Faith has to do, or sorry, all that Teresa, I'm logged in as Teresa, all she has to do is take a look at this. If this looks good, I can just hit send and continue on working on this case. Pretty cool stuff, right? All right, we got more to cover, so I'm just going to go ahead and go right in. So we talked about the case management agent. Now let's talk about the customer intent agent. I actually got a sneak peek of this while I was at Ignite last year, and seeing it in action was actually, it was really cool, and it's definitely going to change the way that customer intent is identified in service scenarios. So what does it do? Well, this agent is all about understanding what customers actually need when they contact customer service, right? So it does this by using AI to build and manage something that's called an intent library inside of Dynamics 365. So basically, it analyzes past interactions, so things like emails and chat transcripts and case notes and all sorts of stuff. And then it groups similar issues together into those intent groups. Now, if that sounds familiar, that's because we've seen something similar to this in the customer service history report, where AI automatically classifies topics. So for example, let's say you have 3 different issues. One of them is called shipment damage, right? And another one is called damage during shipping. And another one is called shipping caused damage. All of those issues, right, instead of treating them as separate issues, AI can group them together under damage during shipments. And this is kind of what that customer intent agent is going to do as well. That's kind of how that's going to work. It does take it a step further, though, because it's actually going to map each of those intent groups to the right resolutions. So why is this so awesome? Well, first of all, it's going to help customer service reps quickly understand what the customer needs, right? But even better, the agent is going to guide the customer service rep through the conversation by suggesting the best questions to ask. right? So when the agent detects an issue, it populates a suggested question immediately in a chat. And then the rep can review that question, edit it if they need to, and then send the question to the customer with one click. There's no more typing out every single question manually. So the bottom line here is really faster, smarter customer interactions, right? And obviously a lot less guesswork for customer service reps as well. Can't wait to get my hands on this one either, but you can kind of see that here, right? Here's those questions that can then be populated over here. I can edit that, I can send that, and boom, it keeps giving me other things to look at while I am trying to solve this issue. All right, so that was the customer intent agents. And now let's talk about the knowledge management agent. You probably already know what this is, right? This actually can create draft knowledge articles based on past cases and after a case gets closed. So when a customer service rep closes a case, boom, notification pops up, right? Showing or suggesting for the customer service rep to review an existing article for an update or a newly created draft knowledge article. Now, how does it know whether to make a new article or just update an old one? Well, it actually compares the case details with what's already in a knowledge base. So if it decides that a new article is needed, it's going to put together sections for what the problem was, that's the issue, why this happened, the cause, and then the resolution on how to fix it as well. It's pretty cool, right? So the rep can then review the article, tweak it if they need to, and if they have the right permissions, they can publish the article for the whole team. Oh, and don't worry, it's going to scrub out any sensitive information as well. Now, according to Microsoft, there's going to be two modes for this agent, semi-autonomously and fully autonomously. What's the difference? I don't know. We're going to have to wait for this and find out. My guess is that fully autonomous is probably that it's just going to, publish the knowledge articles as well. And then maybe semi-autonomous is that somebody needs to look at it. But I'm just guessing. I have no clue whatsoever, but that's my guess. All right, so those were all of the agents. Now let's take a look at some additional features that were coming as well. So this is one that was in the release notes, and I can't find it now, but I asked Microsoft, is this still there? Because it's not in a release notes. It's also not in the items that they took off of the release notes. But anyways, the screenshot proves it, right? That Microsoft had it on in the release notes. And if this is something that is coming, then I think this is going to be a game changer, right? Imagine being able to use all of these awesome omni-channel features from Dynamics 365 Contact Center while or during our sales efforts, right? I have been waiting for this feature for a long, long time. So I can't wait. I can't wait for us to be able to use this. Now, big question here. How is this going to be licensed, right? You can see here that Omnichannel obviously is part of either Dynamics 365 Customer Service or Dynamics 365 Contact Center. So do we need a contact center license on top of our sales license? I don't know, but we're going to have to find out. But if this is still in the release notes, then this is going to be super cool. All right, next one. Not sure if you guys are familiar with this, but this has probably something to do with the previous screenshot you saw. Currently, or previously, we couldn't do this, and I have been waiting for this forever. Why? I wanted to have the ability to turn a custom model-driven app into a multi-session app, because if you want to use those omni-channel features that I just showed you on the previous page, chat or voice or all of those types of things, those type of experiences, you have to be in a multi-session app. Users cannot get conversations in the single session apps, which is why this is a game changer. And you can see that you can enable this in the customer service admin center. So you're going to create your custom app, and then there's a setting here that the only thing you have to do is set this multi-session with productivity tools, and ta-da! That model-driven app is now a multi-session app. Pretty cool, right? I thought so. All right, I am going to, let me just quickly show you where the setting is. So here we have, let me see here. Is it this guy? Yeah, no, it's not. It's this guy. So here we have my custom case app, right? As you can see, this is just a regular model-driven app. And if I open up different cases, this is not acting as, right, where I can open multiple of these cases in different sessions, right? This is just a regular app. I can turn this into a multi-session app, but just go into Customer Service Admin Center. And I have to think, where is this again? This is workspaces. And then I go to, look at this, productivity settings for model-driven apps. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick my app. I'm going to click edit, and I'm going to set this to multi-session with productivity tools. I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this. And if the question was, can you do this for system apps, non-custom apps? No, unfortunately, you cannot. So I'm going to let this cook for a while we're continuing on some other features. So date sensitivity labels is something that Microsoft is adding to emails inside of Dynamics 365. Now, this is going to allow customer service reps to classify and protect sensitive information and give organizations flexibility in handling different types of sensitive data. Now, this is something, by the way, that needs to be enabled and configured by an admin before people can start using this. And this is also slated for public preview. Try to say that 5 times in a row. Public preview. I sound like Daffy Duck. April 2025, so this month. Then we have a survey agent. Now, this feature has been in public preview since November. I have not had a chance to play with this yet, unfortunately, but according to the documentation, this is going to allow us to collect customer service feedback through an agent instead of a form, right? You might use the customer voice capabilities that we have today, which allows you to create surveys and then send those to a customer, right? If a case has been closed, right? Or after a chat. So this is now another option to gather that feedback, also slated right now, actually to go GA in April of 2025, and I haven't even played with it yet. So I really need to start doing that. And then we have the ability to view sentiments in emails. Now, currently, CSRs can see those sentiment indicators in the chat, right? If they're chatting with a customer, and it looks like this feature is expanding that to emails inside of, my guess is inside of Dynamics 365. And according to the release notes, admins and supervisors will also be able to check out the average sentiment scores in some sort of analytics dashboard. Where, which dashboard, I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, this is also public preview in April as well. And then the other update that we had was the ability to actually set session limits for multi-session apps. So by default, users can have up to 9 sessions open at once, but with this new features, admins can actually tweak that limit to anywhere between, right, a minimum of 3 and then a maximum of 9. And another one that I wanted to show you guys, and you might have turned this on already. I know I have. This is actually something that I'm really excited about because it's been missing for a long time, right? The automatic session restoration after a browser refresh. So previously, if the browser would crash or if somebody would accidentally hit F5, right, all of your sessions, they were all gone, right? So with this setting enabled, all of those open sessions will come right back, right? And this is also going GA in 2025. And you can, like I said, turn this on actually today. This feature is actually allowing customer service reps to use Copilot to quickly find the right email template when they need to send an email to a customer right from within an email inside of Dynamics 365. Now, I'm not sure where this fits in, right? Considering all of the autonomous agents that we talked about earlier, since they can already communicate with customers on their own. But then again, you probably won't want them handling every single interaction. and then this might be where this comes in place. Now, again, Microsoft mentioned that this is also a pay-as-you-go feature, which makes me think this might be tied to the Copilot Studio pay-as-you-go plan. So that means you have to have one. So this means every time somebody uses this functionality, a certain number of messages gets consumed. Right. That said, I can see the value, right? Because CSRs don't want to have to waste time hunting for the right email template, just have Copilot do it for them, right? And then I really like this one. This feature actually allows admins to configure email prompts as part of an email template. So instead of using the static templates that basically just swap out placeholders like customer's first name and customer last name, these prompts will actually generate contextualized content, right? So when a CSR inserts an email template with a prompt, Copilot automatically fills in the details, making emails more relevant and personalized. This doesn't just boost productivity, obviously, but it's really going to cut down on manually setting up those or drafting those emails, right? Which is going to be huge, I think, as well. And then this, we already had the ability for customer service rep to open an email in Dynamics 365 customer service and then ask Copilot to generate the email. This is going to allow them to start typing up an email and then have Copilot halfway through the email ask Copilot to help with the rest of the email, right? And this one, I'm not sure if you guys have seen that. This is actually a refresh of the customer service workspace app. You can kind of see here, this is the old way that it looked. I actually had to dig around for some screenshots because it looked like the refresh has already been done. You can also see this Copilot pane is not the same size as the panes here on the side, my sessions, and in the new one, it actually is. So that's also a very, very nice one. And then the last one that I wanted to mention here on this particular screen is the timeout rules. This is also something that was mentioned in an earlier release wave, but the way that it works is that it allows admins to create rules that perform certain actions when a customer hasn't responded to a conversation in a certain amount of time. Now, this feature only works for asynchronous messaging channels, right? So those are, this is going to allow communications between customers and customer service reps without needing to stay in an active conversation, right? So think about texting, think about Microsoft Teams, right? WhatsApp, Line, Messenger, WeChat, Apple Messages, right? Those types of things. This is where that will actually work. So the way it works is we configure a trigger, right? To say, hey, if they didn't respond within an X amount of time, maybe a day, 2 days after the last text was sent, then I want to send a follow-up message. And that message can be sent to the agent, the customer service rep, right? Now it's getting too confusing with agents, or it can be sent to the customer as well. So we have some things that we can do there as well. And this is what that looks like, right? So here we have our timeout rules, right? What do we want to do? Do we want to send a message? Do we want to do something else? We're sending a message to whom? Agent, customer, and then what are the messages that we want to send for that as well. And then the other action that's available, if you don't want to send a message, you can have the agent automatically close the conversation. So this is, right, if the trigger hasn't been met, then we just want to automatically close that conversation. And I think I was just on time here. Oops. Oh, I didn't want to do that. That is all I had for you guys today, and is it exactly 6:30, so that is perfect. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the presentation.